We're going to take a quick look at solving one or two step equations. This is something that you spend a lot of time in Algebra 1 on, but we are going to review it, make sure that we're understanding. But the whole goal in any time that you're solving an equation is to get the variable by itself, well, which ultimately means you must get rid of all the other stuff that's around it, and you're going to get rid of that stuff by doing the opposite operation that it shows. Okay? The first thing that you need to make sure is that you know that the variable is what you want to get by itself. If you don't know that, then you need a lot of work on these equations. And you'd better recognize what's happening. So if you've got addition, so like an x plus 3, then you need to solve that by subtracting. Okay? Now, the way that people get these things confused is that if I have an x and an x on the same side, then that's not something that I need to solve from. That's something that I need to just combine. And so x is by itself, 3 is by itself. I can't combine those because one is a variable and one is not. Okay, so you need to recognize also that the x and the 3 are unlike terms. I can't add them together, and so the only way to get the x by itself is to start solving. Same thing with x minus 5. That's a subtraction problem, which means that you need to solve that by adding. The negative 9x is multiplication. Okay, even though the negative's out front, it doesn't necessarily matter. I still need to solve that by dividing. X divided by 7, or x over 7, that's a division problem. And I need to solve that by multiplying. And 2x over 3 is a fraction. And so I want to solve that by multiplying and by dividing. Okay, and we'll take a look at all those different examples as we continue going along. All of those were one-step equations or one-step expressions. This is going to be talking about more than one step eventually. And so the thing that you need to know is that if there's more than one operation, you should use SADMEP, which is just PEMDAS backward. If you have any question about it, the subtraction and addition go together. Again, from left to right, the dividing and multiplying go together. Get rid of exponents. Then get rid of parentheses along the way as well. And that's the way that you tell which one you should do first. You're undoing PEMDAS. You're undoing some sort of operation that happened before. And so when I take a look at the worksheet, the first thing is that I am completely aware, and you should know that I'm aware, that you can say that 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. I know that. However, what we want to work on with these first couple sets of problems, the things that we're doing here, is that we want to use that as a check instead of us solving. So what I need to see is I need this second set of directions here. Show your work. You must show your work in order to get credit for this. If you do not show your work on the test, you will not get credit for it. There will be 1 point for the answer and 1 point for your work. You will get 50% if you get all the answers right but show no work. And so here's number 1, x plus 8 is equal to 9. Well, I've got an addition problem. So to get rid of the addition, I need to subtract. And I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I'm going to take a second here and make this a little bit bigger so that my pen actually is showing up a little bit better, and that didn't really help. So give me a second and we'll make this work a little bit better for us. Okay, so that's a little bit bigger. When I subtract 8 from both sides, I end up like this. Some people like to have an idea because they forget that whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, or they're confused about the two different sides. Some people like to draw what I call the river in here. Okay, draw a separating line between straight down from the equal sign. And then everything that I do on the left side of that, I have to do on the right side. And so in this problem, I subtracted 8 from the left because I needed to get rid of the plus 8. And so I'm going to subtract 8 from the right as well. When I subtract 8, 8 minus 8 cancels out. It goes away. Okay? And we know it's going to cancel out because we're doing the opposite operation. Okay, but it cancels out, and so I'm left with just the x on this side. The equals is going to be on that line because I drew a straight line through the equal sign. And then 9 minus 8 is going to give me 1. There's no other operations in here. And so I have x is equal to 1. Take a look at number 2, then we'll do number 3 here. Number 3 is subtracting 5 from both sides because I've got y plus 5. And again, if you want both sides and you're not sure about where both sides is, draw a line straight down through the equal sign. You can now see there's both sides of this line. Once is on the left and then once on the right. Okay, so the 5 minus 5 cancels, and negative 7 minus 5, be careful with your negatives. If I start off at negative 7 and I go down 5 more, I'm now at negative 12. Number 4, this has a x divided by 5. There's a division problem. So in order to solve the division problem, I need to multiply. Okay, and I'm going to multiply both sides by something. And if you are comfortable writing it down here, then that's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to multiply this side by 5, and I'm going to multiply this side by 5. You can draw the river in if you wanted to, so that you're doing the same thing on the left and on the right. The 5s are going to cancel on the right-hand side because I'm doing the opposite operation. Okay? And if you don't believe me, then this is what happens. In order to multiply these, I have to make them both into fractions, so I get 5x over 5, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Well, 5 over 5 will reduce, and I get x is equal to 15. And if you are going through and you need that extra step, then put that extra step in there. There's nothing wrong with having that. Let's take a look at number 6. Number 6, I've got negative 6x is equal to 24. That operation that's happening there is actually a multiplication. So in order to get rid of multiplication, I need to do a division problem. And I'm going to divide by whatever number is in front, even if it's negative. Because negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. And I get 24 minus 6 is 18. 1x is equal to 18. Some people want to divide by 1, but you need to know that if I have a 1x, that's the same thing as just a plain x. Okay, around this x, there are a bunch of lazy 1s. There's a 1 to the in front that's called the coefficient. There's a 1 underneath that we can divide by 1. And there's a 1 kind of up to the upper right that we call an exponent. Okay, we already talked about the exponent when we were doing moving around the exponent rules, doing things like that. We talked about the 1 underneath when we were dealing with fractions, and now we've got the 1 out in front, which is the coefficient. Okay, so now you've actually done all of the types of problems in one-step equations. When we move to number 8, we've got a two-step equation. I've got a 9 there, and I've got a minus 6. I have to get rid of both of those things. Okay, both of them have to go away. You have to know that they both have to go away. And so you could start with either one. Okay, it doesn't necessarily matter. However, there's a better way to start than the other one. And the better way is to get rid of the number that's not multiplied by the a. Okay, and so I want to get rid of the 9 here first. And so the operation that's with the 9 is not a minus, because the minus is with the 6. The operations that's with the 9 is that this is a plus 9. And so in order to get rid of the plus 9, I have to subtract 9. So 9 minus 9 now goes away, and I still get negative 6a over here on the left-hand side. On the right, negative 3 minus 9, I start at negative 3 and go down 9 more. It gets me down to negative 12. Now I've got negative 6 times a, so I need to get rid of times by dividing. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 cancels out, and a is equal to negative 12 divided by negative 6 is a 2. So I get a is equal to 2. A more common one is going to be like number 9. This is a more common type of problem where you can clearly see the plus 4, and so then that's the first one that I want to get rid of is the plus 4, and I get rid of it by subtracting 4. So the 6y is left over on the left-hand side. 40 minus 4 gives me 36. 6 times y, divide by 6, y is equal to 6. This equation you will often hear me refer to as a nice friendly equation. This is a nice friendly equation. This is the equation that you have to solve completely be at a point where you see this type of thing and you're like, oh, I can do that one. Okay, I've finally done all this work before it, and now I've gotten to this point. Okay, this has to be a nice, friendly equation for you. Let's jump to the back here quickly. You've actually looked at all the different types of problems. I want to see if there's a little bit more difficult one for you on the back here, but there's not necessarily. So let's just take a look at one more, number 14. And number 14 looks like this. I've got negative 10 is equal to negative 10 plus 7m. So I need to get rid of two things. I need to get rid of this negative 10 and get rid of this 7. Okay, well, the negative 10 is like a minus 10. Okay, I can switch that word negative and minus, and it makes more sense to us. I mathematically want to say that it's a negative 10. Okay, but logically, it's also a minus 10. And so the way that I get rid of minus 10, okay, is by adding 10. That's the first step that I want to take. I want to do the one that's not being multiplied times the m or divided by the m. Okay, I want to get rid of the number that's added or subtracted first. And so I've got my two sides here. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Negative 10 plus 10 on the left-hand side is 0. That's okay. 0 is a number. Negative 10 plus 10 cancels out, and I get just 7m left on the right. And now hopefully at this point you can say, oh, well, 7 times what would give me 0? Well, 7 times 0 would give me a 0. However, I want to show that step, show that work. 7 times m, so to get rid of times, I want to divide. 7 divided by 7 equals m. 0 divided by 7 is still 0. That's okay. 0 is a nice number. Okay, it means I don't have anything. I don't have any broken legs. I don't have. I don't owe any money. Okay, and 0 is okay. Nothing wrong with 0. So I've got 0 is equal to m is my final answer. There's no numbers that are around m. I got the m by itself. And so then I'm finally done with this. 1 and 2 step equations. Okay, first thing, you got to recognize what you have, and you want to solve it so you're getting rid of whatever you have. And the way that you want to do it is by using PEMDAS backwards, which is SADMAP.